So now there's a lot of questions that are kind of in between, like something like that. See, it's kind of like a "are you with me" question. So ignore this for the time being. Ignore this little thing on here and concentrate on the question. What I want you guys to tell me is this: it's A, B, or C. Not answer the question, but whether you can answer the question. Yeah. So A, B, or C. A, B, or C. I have two people that haven't decided yet whether they feel good or bad about the question. And then if I stop, then we can look at the distribution of this, right? And see what people think. And it looks like I have half of you feel really good about answering the question, right? About 43%. And another 43% are kind of sure. So I have about 86% of you think at least a 50% sure you can answer this question, right? So let's see if that's true. Answer it. All right. So now you're going to go for A, B, or C, which one you think is the right answer. All right. And let me zoom in again to make sure that you can actually read the question well. So now you're answering. And you know, just to make it even, to be nice, you can talk to the person next to you if you think you don't know the right answer, right? Or if you want to help out. But a lot of you should answer correctly because 96% of you felt at least 50% good about it. All right, so 86% of you felt that you could actually this question right. Let's see how you guys did. Whoa. Now, what does that mean?
They're all sure in different ways.
That's one thing, right? They're all sure in different ways. But what else does it mean? I mean, what's going on here? Is there anything particularly interesting about my students, in this case you, that I can discern from these two things? What is it? Yeah. Well, one is that most of you don't know how to calculate the opportunity cost, right? But that's okay. I mean, you haven't taken a class in econ probably for a long time. But that actually was kind of expected. But what was the most interesting what is the additional thing?
Everyone was so sure, and yet there's no sure answer.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, obviously, at least 86% of you were at least 50% sure that you were right. But that cannot be true. I mean, a lot of you have to be wrong because there's only one answer here, and most of you, a lot of you went for all kinds of ways, right? So let's say that this is the right answer. 20, 33, all these people had the wrong expectations. You actually were misjudging your knowledge, right? Because you thought you knew it, but you obviously don't, right? Because there's actually one answer here. Now, you shouldn't feel so bad if you don't know the answer, because this particular question, there was a study done in which a group of students presented this question to people who have actually just taken an economics course in Cornell University, and only about 8% of them were able to answer the question correctly. These are economics, students. Then they presented the question to people who have never taken economics. And actually 15% of them were able to answer the question, right? So the funny thing is that those people, after they did the study, they said, wow, we're really into something here, right? So they presented the question at the Mayor Economic Conference to all the PhD economists that were there, right? And only 30% of them were able to answer the question, right? Now, after they were shown that they were done focus group and stuff, and they would say, well, why did you choose the wrong answer? And a lot of them economists say, well, I thought you were talking about net opportunity cost instead of gross opportunity cost, concepts that don't really exist, right? So they were kind of justifying why there's only one correct answer here, and the correct answer is B, 10, right? Because what you consider is what the cost of, so we're still in the floor, right? What you consider here is that what you lose from the benefits that you won't be able to get if you go to their concert, right? If your benefits that you won't be able to get are, well, if you actually don't go to see Eric Clapton, you go to see Bob Dylan, you have to pay $40. So where the benefits that you get from seeing Bob Dylan is $10. And that's what you lose if you go to see Eric Clapton. Right? You lose a surplus. Now, that's economics. Right? You don't have to, you don't care, you don't have to care about that. But the important thing is that this is what I do in my class. See, this is one thing that students don't do very well because a lot of them, for the most part, actually none of us, were taught how to think, how to study, how to think about thinking, right? So this is a type of question that I call thinking about thinking, all right? Which is like what we call metacognition. Any of you have heard about this concept before? So it's really important because, you see, before the exam, I put questions like this to my students. I poll them twice. I poll them the first time, like I did with you, how many of you feel confident about answering this question? And for the most part, it's the same thing. I mean, you get to, and I put questions that are kind of hard, but not exactly, right? So, and then most of them say they feel pretty confident. Then I poll them, and then I face them with the results. And then they're seeing themselves that their expectations about how much they know are incorrect. So and then I ask them, if your expectations about what you think is right, what do you think is going to happen in the exam? Well, they're going to go to the exam, they're going to feel they study enough, they're going to take the exam, and there's two possibilities that will happen if their own expectations are wrong. One is that after the exam, they know they bombed the exam, right? And they're upset because, oh, I thought I had studied, but I still did really wrong the exam. And two, they do the exam, they think they did really well because they're still thinking they are right. And then when the grade comes, oh, how come I got this grade? It's impossible. You know, there must be something wrong with the instructor or with the teacher because there's no way I felt really good about this exam, right? But you don't want to deal with that after the exam. You should deal with that in some way. And most of us, actually, in fact, we don't deal with that issue. But you want to deal with that before the exam. So you can actually encourage students to do different kind of things. So what kind of things do you think would you encourage your students to do if you feel that there's discrepancy between what they think they know and what they really know? How can they fix that? What do you think? If you have to face it, you're faced with that situation. I send one of my students to you because you know the answer to this problem. How do you fix the problem of expectations of they know versus what they really know? What should they do to correct that? Change how they study. I will go there first, right? So there's something with your studying that is actually not working really well. So what kind of things do you think they're doing in their study that is actually not enough? How do you think these people are studying? They're probably concentrating more on reading the chapter, right? How do you know that you know something? You can apply it, okay. What else? When you study for an exam, you're probably still studying for exams, right? How do you know that you know something? How do you study?
When I see that I can do the problem.
Okay, when you see that you can, and how do you know that you can do it on your own, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So if you take a problem and you can't answer it, and then you look at the answer, and they say, oh, well, of course, that makes sense. Do you know it? No, right? So most students think they do know it when they do that, right? They do the problem, they get it wrong. Oh, why is it wrong? And then they look at the answer key. Oh, of course, that makes sense. Of course, right? And then, okay, I know it. I just keep going to the next one. But they don't know it yet, right? But most students think they do know it, right? The only way you know, there's two basic ways, and like you guys said, there's two basic ways that you know something. One is you do the problem on your own and you solve it on your own. Or two, you're able to explain it to someone in your own words. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, students don't believe, I like these questions, cricket questions with all of them at the same time are really good to kind of convince them that this is something that they should spend time doing, right? And changing some of the study habits.